What's going on, guys? So today's video, or this video for that matter, will be strictly about suspension. Suspension, I think, is the most important part of any race car. I don't care what it is, if it's a dragster to a stadium truck, from monster trucks to drift cars. Most important part is suspension, then tire, and then so forth. So this segment can be 50 million hours long, and I'm not going to go crazy in depth with if you change the bladder with the sponge up top of the bladder for bump stop and to change rebound rate and so forth. Yes and no, they do that, but strictly this segment will be for how you would build suspension and why you would build it in that manner, and how to decide what coil you want, and then what to do with the piston and what oil you want to throw in it, right? And how you would vacuum the air out of it. So then my special guest right here is a shock dyno. Okay, so as you can see, it gets very involved, really crazy. I'll try and make it as simple as advanced as possible. Alright, so very simple. I run Yokomo suspension because I love the way they are built, love the way they work, and they've been trustworthy as long as I've been in this hobby. At first I used Tamiya TRF, awesome, but not that awesome. I find that even with the coating inside, they still boil the oil real fast, and it pushes the oil out of the top of the piston, like within a day of proper racing. So, and the guys that race for Tamiya, they do special little things to their suspension to make it work better. So, very simple. I'll show you how a suspension layout is. It's simple. The guy that connects to your chassis is that one, right? Then you have the one that cradles the spring and that goes onto that, right? This guy holds this guy that keeps the O-ring on the bottom of the shock, correct? And then the piston will be going through there, piston shaft in that turn will be screwing into this guy, finger. Shock, top of the bladder with a little foam, as you can see there's the foam. Yes, it changes the rebound and so forth and so on. Guess what? We don't use those. They suck. I don't like them. I want to have full bladder, full movement. Then this guy with this guy. Alright, so as I was saying, this dude would screw into that goes onto your suspension arm. This guy falls inside here, right? Coil goes over that. Bladder, bump stop, or to improve rebound, which I don't believe in. I don't use it. Bladder goes inside here, right? Then that in turn screws on there. Anyway, so all of this gets oil in it. Yes, I run 10 weight in the back of my car, sometimes even less than 10 weight, to the point where I maybe even use vegetable oil or something really, really thin like that. Yes, if it's thinner, it leaks out easier or sweats out easier and so forth. But you know what? The amount of grip that I have on my car when I run that thin oil is stupendous. Okay? I will mash you in a corner and drive out of it where you will never get through that corner at the speed that I can. Anyway, this is made by Tamiya. They've been making this for years and years. I don't know who else makes this product. I sometimes call it my pump, you know, penis pump, whatever. Anyway, goes on top of there. 10 pumps, not 11, not 15, nothing else like that. You only need 10 pumps, I promise you. Beyond that, now you're starting to pressurize it so much that you're sucking air back into this container, right? Sucking air back into the container, putting it back into the suspension, and the process is useless. So I only do 10, air it out again, 10, and air it out slowly. Be careful not to release this air fast, because if you do, you're blowing air straight back into it. Okay, so yeah, do it real slow and easy and nicely. And yeah, in the inside of these things, the Delrin or whatever this is made out of does corrode. So all I do is I drop 10 weight in there, so it seals back up and it's nice and lubricated and it works perfect, right? And yeah, I'll show you the whole process right now. Very simple. I'll build this in front of you so you can see how it's done. It's really easy. There's only a couple of things that you have to keep in mind though, is the length of when this guy is connected to this. Make sure that they're all four the same. Otherwise, you have a corner weight problem. Alright, but I'll show you all of that real quick. And then we'll talk about Mr. Shock Dyno. Right? This one's made by G-Force. And yeah, I'll show you exactly how it works and why you need to know all that stuff. Alright, so suspension. Just real quick, how to assemble it. Okay, here we go. You take the shock body, right? You take a little see-through O-ring, place that in here. Take the black little brace or little washer thing, but you'll see it has like a little, you know, raised collar that pushes to the outside, right? The raised collar goes to the outside. You screw this baby on here, make sure it seats nicely, because that actually seals it up from the bottom, right? Bottom down. And it wipes the piston, right? The shaft right here, it wipes it. And if that's mega dry, it won't let it go freely in and out. So it's very important when you put this guy in here that it's a very smooth up in and out, right? If it's not, it is resistance against your shock, and you don't want to slow it down, you want to have it free. Same as a bearing, you want that movement to be free as much as possible. So, before I go any further, I modify my pistons, okay? And the reason why I do that is because my track specifically here is a very, very smooth surface. It's laminated wood, which is like a countertop. It's mega smooth, okay? And people go, well, why are you so fast? Well, because I tune the crap out of my suspension. I tune it and I tune it and I tune it until I get it perfect. But I haven't had to tune it because I've been doing it for a while. So, and I have real car experience. So, what I do is I try and tune my cars like a real car, because a real car has the same physics as a 1/10 scale car. You can say what you want. There's a lot of people that, oh no, it's not. Well, yeah, it is. It's 1/10 of a car, ain't it? And if it's not exactly 1/10, it might be 1/15 or whatever the flip you want to call it. It's still scale. It still has the same physics. It still has shocks and so forth. We don't have, you know, the valving that a real car has, but we're pretty freaking close. So I take my piston and I drill the holes. Okay, I make the Yokomo shocks. These ones are the black piston, it's not the white Dilleron one. The white Dilleron one is awesome because the rub, it's super smooth. Anyway, these ones come with 3 holes. 3 holes that are so small that I don't even know how the shock oil goes through it. And because it's 3 mega small ones, it moves super slow. So what I do is I increase the hole size, right? And I'll try and show you on a vernier the size it is. That's what size I drill them onto. If you can look on the GoPro, oh, it's probably upside down. So it's 1.87 millimeters. Sorry, guys that work in inches, but well, there you go. Now it's something different. Anyway, you get the idea. It's 1 point something, 1.8, 1.9, whatever you want to call it. I increase that small little microscopic holes that it comes stuck with. I drill them out. Okay. Then I get a smaller drill bit, and then I drill another 3 holes. So it's 6 holes for the back. Okay. 6 holes for the back, 3 holes for the front. Same for the front. I increase the size to this 1.9 drill bit. Okay. I do that so that the oil will flow through it faster and freer. Right? The coil then, supports that movement. And we'll talk about the coil in a minute. So back to assembly. I put that guy in there with the O-ring, the little black guy in here with a raised collar. Piston. Throw the piston in. Now here's a very important part that I want you guys to think about. When I assemble this part that goes onto the arm, if I screw this on here, right, and I build the next one, how do I know that they're all the same? And that's, a lot of people don't think about that. Like, they don't go, oh, well, I screwed it until it stopped. Well, how do you know if it's the same as the other one? You don't. And that's the problem. That's why you all have corner weight problems. You slide towards the left, awesome towards the left. And when you switch to the right, it's like, it just goes. Right? Well, buy one of these, it's $30. You can buy them from Home Depot. Right? It's worth your while. And then try and measure from where the blue ends to where the black starts. Right? Just make sure that's the same. Right? Just measure. If I can get this guy to move faster. Sorry. It's taking longer than it should. If you measure that distance right in here, if you measure that distance and make sure all of them are the same, then you know that problem is fixed, right? And that won't be a problem now. There can't be a problem there. Anyway, this guy now is ready to be thrown into the pump, and it's ready to be oiled and then vacuumed so we can get all the air out of it, because behind the piston there's all kinds of air laying down there, and oil is pretty thick, and it'll trap air back in there, and then we have a problem. So here's the other one, also magically pre-built for your viewing pleasure. Make sure that this wine color here, the preload color, wind it all the way up, just to make sure you can throw oil in there. Throw it in there, and you'll see, we'll take this 10 weight, and I'll top it up all the way, almost till it looks like it's going to spill. Luckily, oil is so thick that it looks like it's got like a little belly effect on the top of it. I'll try and show you with a GoPro. If you look at the top of that, it looks like it's going to spill over. See, look. Like, whoa. Anyway, it's all special effects. Fill both the tin up. Now, you got to make sure you remember who's front and who's back. Because how do you know if that is 6 or 3? You don't know. So, I jack my wife's nail polish and I throw it on here. And then the fronts are pink and the backs will just stay plain. So, you might as well top up. Make sure everybody's got enough oil in it. Alright, that's back, that's front. Now, I put 32.5 or 30 something in the front, and then always mega thin in the rear. Because when we accelerate, we want squat. Right? Like a dragster, you want it for acceleration. Please. We want to stay in acceleration as long as we can. That's why we make soft suspension in the back, so we can stay in acceleration. Even if you're at top speed, you still want to be in a state of acceleration. Which means, if I build it like a boat, like this, with rake in it, we're constantly accelerating. There's never a flat, right? It's always going to stay like this. And that's what they do with boats. They can move the engine up and down, which means the boat nose will lift up or point down, right? A boat wants to try and have as less resistance as possible, so it can go as fast as possible. Okay, I know. Anyway, back to this. Fronts, backs, place the cap on it, make sure it's got a nice seal. So try and make sure the seal is clean, you know, so it'll seal nicely. And then place the pump. Now, 10 only, not 20, not 15, not 12, 10. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And not one for luck, I promise. Now, I wish there was a way I could show you the air coming out of it. But there's so much glare and so forth and so on, and it's inside a plastic container. But believe me, there's air bubbles coming out of it, pushing out to the top, you know. And I can't really sit still either, because I'm a coffee machine. Anyway, you get the idea. The air now is pushing up to the top. Now, this little, see the little knobby on the top? Really, really slowly. And hopefully the GoPro could hear that. But I'll do it again. Now, if you do it fast, it'll shoot this oil out over the top, and it'll push air into it instantly. It's like being in a diving chamber, you know what I mean? If you go deep sea diving and they open that hatch too soon and too fast, blood will rush into your, air will go into your blood system, and you're done. It's game over for you. So we vacuumed the air out of here the second time. Now we'll release it, open it up, and then we will assemble, the top. So I have removed the top bladder, taken the little bump stop out. Then I'm putting the bladder back in. Make sure the boob, if you want to call it that, faces outwards like that. right? And let's start with the back suspension, or the coil itself. Let's go like this. Now, you'll see it's pretty full, but I want to make sure it almost spills out like this. Even if it spills a little bit, it doesn't matter. But I like it mad full like that. And as soon as I put this on, a little bit of that will spill out, which is fine. That just means there won't be any air inside here and in here, right? I don't want no air. As soon as air gets in here, the air will change the viscosity and it'll help it boil. Like, it'll become black, right? Seriously, like, I ain't lying. This fluid inside here cooks. It boils because there's so much movement, micro movements going on. I wish I had a small enough and fast enough camera to film how crazy the suspension gets, but a red eye is a huge thing and I can't bolt it onto my RC car just yet. I'm sure they're going to make something small, but anyway, hurry up guys. So make a spill like that. Look how much mess I'm making right now. That's fine. Screw it down, wipe it off, right? Get the excess off, wipe it off. And you know what? That's another reason why I don't drive outside, because all this excess oil and stuff that would be on here, yeah, sure, it won't let my car rust. Inside joke. But outside, the little dust, sand and so forth would stick onto anything wet like that and become a grinding paste. Anyway, as you can see, I don't know if we can do that in slow-mo, but as you see, as soon as I release, it pops back like super fast. That's good, because that just means when it compresses, right, and then removes the compression, that the suspension would jump back down and still touch the ground, right? So it goes whoop, and as soon as it raises up, if my shock's not fast enough, I don't have any grip. There's a split second where it's not touching the ground anymore, right? Well, if it's fast like this, it just means it's touching every second. It'll touch everything. It'll keep on touching, which means keep on giving my tire a chance to grip. And yeah, more grip, more acceleration, more fun. So, and more speed, and. So make sure this guy is tightened down all the way. You know, take your coil, and I'll get to the coil section in a minute. But yeah, throw it back on here. Take this little collar or whatever you want to call it, throw it on the bottom, and bingo bongo, you have a bolt suspension, bolt coil.